Hi everybody, welcome to the It's All Light podcast. I'm your host, Natalie Brazier, and today I have McKardy Kelly with us.
Hi Nat, thanks for having me.
I guess I should have said former Miss Rodeo Utah Queen Kelly. Guys, I'm so excited to have McKardy here. So I met McKardy, 3 months ago? When did you start?
No, even less. It's almost been 2 months.
She just joined
March.
the Redmond family. And we are so lucky and glad she did because she is wonderful. And I'm so excited for you guys to get to know her.
Thanks for having me. No, I'm the lucky one. This has been so cool. Just the few months that I've been here, I feel like I've known everyone forever.
Oh, so it's great. I know we're all besties. It's the best. So tell us about McKardy. Where are you from? What's your story?
Well, I'm from right here in Midway, Utah. So not very far from Redmond headquarters in Heber. Lived here my whole life. I've actually been here for 5 generations in Midway.
5 generations.
Yeah,
Wow.
which is crazy because it's growing so big and so fast, and I feel like a lot of people are moving in, and so it's not right like the little small town that I grew up in, but it's cool to see the growth and also like the history behind it all. But anyway, so yeah, 5 generations.
Do you want to stay here eventually, with your future? Not eventually, I meant to say just in general.
Yeah, no, I would love to stay here, but I don't know if I'll be able to. It's getting so expensive to live in Utah in general, but even more so in Midway because it's like the mountains and the Swiss culture. So I would love to stay, but also I'm not sure if there's enough land. I have too many hobbies that require stalls and pastures, and so I have to go somewhere where I have some land.
I'm so excited to dive deeper into all those hobbies and passions. You said your favorite food is sushi, but you do love a crawdad boil.
That's so random living here in Utah. I have lots of friends that are down south in Louisiana, and so they always tease me because they like crawfish. You like your Utah crawfish, but I feel like I like the experience behind crawfishing more. Like my family, I grew up going with my uncle, and we would go to the docks out in Strawberry, and you would literally drop a line of chicken in the water, and then the crawdads would climb onto it, you'd pull them up, whatever. So it was kind of like
lobsters.
Yes, they're teeny lobsters.
So awesome.
They're good to eat, but I feel like just catching them and being with family is kind of the more important part. And then I was kind of hooked. It was so fun. My uncle rolls out all this newspaper and dumps the crawdads from the crawdad boil on it, and you just dive in and eat them. And so it's not even just like food, it's like the culture behind it. And yeah, so there's my...
Who knew that you could do that here in Utah?
Yeah, you can. All my friends in Louisiana would probably be surprised.
I love
Not as big as their mud bugs or crawfish or crawdad, but...
I feel like there's a culture in Utah that's wannabe Southern. Because once I said y'all and these people from the South were like, oh, what part of the South are you from? And I'm like, Utah.
No, I totally get
Not
it.
the South.
When I went to nationals in high school for rodeo, I get asked all the time, where are you from? And I was like, from Utah. And they were like, you're from Utah? Why do you talk like that? Why do you have a drawl? So yeah, we're wannabe Southerners.
I know, and if you're watching this on YouTube or you look up McKardy with her socials, she looks like Hannah Brown, who is, so it's just and they talk similarly.
So Hannah Brown, if you're ever watching this, I'm your doppelganger apparently.
No, for real. We'll tag her on TikTok.
Yeah.
So, now to the meat of the podcast. What do you light up about McKardy?
I think we've hit on it a little bit, but I absolutely love the Western heritage. I love the sport of rodeo because I've grown up in it my whole life, and family is super, super important to me. But something that we do as a family is we rodeo, and we live the Western heritage in our day-to-day lives. So I grew up every single weekend, the month of June and July, going to rodeo with my dad. I wasn't always competing in it. Sometimes I was just watching, but my mom, she was amazing. Pack us up Friday morning. Sometimes we missed school. Sometimes we went and left early, but we would go to a rodeo in the state of Utah. And he just announced RMPRA rodeos, but every single weekend you could find the Kelly family at a Circle J rodeo.
What's a Circle J mean?
So Circle J is a stock contractor here in Utah. Circle J and Broken Heart, they're both stock contractors that bring stock to the rodeos. So we would go to those RM rodeos, and then when I got old enough, I was like, okay, I want to be involved in this. But it all just started from my dad, and his dad was a rodeo announcer too, and my mom was super involved in rodeo. So I feel like that's what brings us all together as a family. It's something that we all do together as a family.
Are you guys competitive too?
Yeah, we're very competitive. It's funny to see the dynamic because I have 2 little brothers, and it's funny to see the competitiveness and like how we express it. So I compete in rodeo queen contests when I was younger. I did. Now I barrel race, but my 2 little brothers are steer wrestlers. So
cool.
Yeah, they love steer wrestling. Super like driven, competitive with it. But it's just funny to see the differences between me and my brothers.
So for those listening who aren't familiar with rodeo, steer wrestling is where you ride a horse and then you jump on a little cow, not little cow,
Yeah,
a steer. with horns.
Like over 500 pounds.
And you have to tie it down. So you have to
tackle it. Kind of.
Yeah.
It sounds
well,
rough.
It's like Spain, right? Like this is a tradition people have been doing in Spain with bulls, and it's just kind of evolved into the Western culture.
Yeah, so I like to joke, and like you never learned how to rope, but you can wrestle a steer. So they, like you said, they jump off. They have a hazer that keeps it running in a straight line. They hop off onto their horns, and my brother is like a super skinny little kid, but he can throw a steer like the rest of them because they have a technique that they follow. So he'll jump on a steer, and it's a super like smooth technique, so it makes him just like flip over super easy.
Literally
even
wrestling.
with he's literally less than 120 pounds, and he can jump on a
steer. So you can like grab the horn and flip it around.
Yeah, he learned how to use his momentum, and then you blink and it's over, and the steer gets up and runs off.
So you grew up doing rodeo queen, and when you would do that, would you compete in rodeo events as well?
Yeah,
like barrel racing?
Yeah. So to be a rodeo queen, you don't have to compete in barrel racing though. To be a rodeo queen, you just have to love the sport and want to represent it. So within rodeo queening, you have an interview, and then you have speech and modeling, an impromptu question, and then you do a reining pattern on your horse. So you're judged in all those aspects.
Wow.
But as a rodeo competitor, you don't necessarily have to compete in rodeo to represent rodeo as a rodeo queen. But I did. In high school rodeo, I ran barrels and pole bending, which is kind of a more high school specific event. And then I also did cow cutting, which is also another high school rodeo event, but not an event that you would see at most rodeos. They usually have different cutting associations for that. So kind of all different aspects of it.
And so I feel like passions are definitely built with our culture, with our families. Like yours, your whole family rodeoed. You were born into it. When did you feel like the spark of loving this rodeo and horses in your heart? Like, do you remember growing up being like, I love horses? And like, has it always just been there for you?
It's always kind of been there because even when I was a little girl, like my mom would ride horses with me in the womb. So then like I grew up and I just thought it was normal. I thought that everyone had a horse and everyone had to wake up in the morning and go and feed their horses and clean their stall. Like, I thought that was normal. So when I got older, I quickly realized that that's not normal for most people. So I do remember my very first rodeo, or not my very first rodeo, but a rodeo that I went to, and I was like, I want to do this. I want to be involved. My dad announced a rodeo in Idaho called the Haley, I don't know what it was called, but it was Haley, Idaho rodeo. Anyways, I just remember the rodeo queens riding around, and I was like, I want to do that. And I know my mom was a rodeo queen, and so she kind of like helped me get interested in it. But I remember when I like first fell in love with horses and realized how big of an impact they had on my life. I was in middle school and it was winter, and like, you know, when I get seasonal depression.
Oh, yeah.
But as a middle
Especially in
schooler.
Utah.
And my mom, I couldn't figure out what was wrong with me, and I just wanted to feel better. And my mom was like, well, when was the last time you went out with your horses? And I was like, I don't know. And I literally walked out and I brushed my horses, and I just spent like the afternoon with them. And I think that's the day that I was like, oh my gosh, horses have like such a deep impact on our life that we don't even recognize until we don't see them all winter. Or
or even for people who don't have horses, like if you can just go pet a horse, or I don't know, maybe it's animals, maybe it's nature, you know, because horses are kind of wild in their own sense. That just like grounds us. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I love that.
At least for me, it's always grounding when I can be near horses.
Yeah, it totally is. And I love working here. I think that's opened my eyes a lot. Like, because I've always been submerged in the Western industry and Western culture, and everyone had horses. And then I started working here, and we have the equine division, and so I work with the equine collection a lot. But then working with the life collection, it's really cool because you and Lalo, and there's so many other people that work here are like, you ride horses? No way. And it's been fun to even like take you to my barn and Hannah and everyone to kind of like see horses, and you can definitely see the impact and the connection they have with people.
That's cool. So what was your, what am I saying? Who was your first horse? Do I say
Yeah.
who?
What? Who?
What was your first horse?
My first horse, she was a buckskin mare. Her name was Shiva, and she was like the one who taught me how to ride. My mom had a mentor when she was growing up, like a rodeo queen mentor, and he bred all these really cool horses. And so Sheila was one of his horses, and then my mom got him, and then he taught me how to ride. Cool. She taught me how to ride, but he came from Claire. So Sheila, she was just kind of like the horse that taught me it all and was very patient and let me do all the things on her. And she just was like, well, whatever, here she comes again. Like, what are we going to do now? But it's definitely her and what she's taught me. I think the first horse is something special.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I love that. So you kind of started into it being trained to do rodeo queen stuff. Tell me more about that, what that means and what that looks like.
Yeah, I saw my dad being the voice for the sport of rodeo. Every time I would go to rodeo, people would be like, "Hi, Jason, how are you?" And I'm just this little girl following him around, and I was like mesmerized. Like, it's so cool. Everyone knows my dad, and my dad teaches so many people about what rodeo is. And it's funny, my dad actually had nothing to do with rodeo before he started announcing them. Like, his dad, my grandpa, always announced rodeos, but my dad was like, he liked to play sports and he liked to be involved in school in other ways and not rodeo at all. So it's cool how he like transitioned and was a voice for the sport and just knew so much. And I was like, I want to be that when I grow up. And then I just combined my love for what my mom did in rodeo queening, and she kind of just instilled that into me. But I think the biggest part about being a rodeo queen is to be a voice and to educate people on what rodeo is.
Cool. And
to kind of be like the marketer. So it's perfect for my job now. The marketer for rodeos. My job as Miss Rodeo Utah was to get people to come to rodeos and educate people on the sport. And so I was like, last year I was like, this is it. I finally was able to do what my dad does and be a voice for the sport. So yeah, cool. Lots of roundabout answers, but I took what my mom did and my dad did and kind of combined them into one.
What else did you love about being Miss Rodeo Queen?
Yeah.
Wait, what's the actual title?
So the actual title is Miss Rodeo Utah.
Miss Rodeo Utah.
Yes. So Miss Rodeo Utah, and then you go on to compete for Miss Rodeo America.
Wow.
So I competed for Miss Rodeo America in December.
Wow.
But Miss Rodeo Utah is when you turn 18. It might even be, it's 21 now. Sorry, I'm out of it now. But 21, you try out for your state title, and you basically represent, when you win, every single rodeo, pro rodeo inside of your state. So Miss Rodeo Utah, I was gone every single weekend last year to a rodeo, representing rodeo, not just in Utah, but even outside of our state. I traveled a lot, and then I competed for Miss Rodeo America, and I got to represent our state and our cowboys that were competing at the NFR during Miss Rodeo America.
And you ride flags, right?
Yeah, I carry flags. It's kind of different than Miss Rodeo Utah. After I got out of high school and before I started competing for pro rodeo titles, I was just kind of in college doing my thing. And I had this really dear friend of ours that she invited me to come and carry flags at the NFR. And so that was really cool because that's like a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Not very many girls get to do that. Not very many people get to even ride into the Thomas and Mack during the rodeo. So I guess to back it up, the NFR is the Super Bowl of rodeo.
Yeah, huge.
Yeah, it's where world champions are crowned. Yeah, in Vegas.
Wow.
So
for the main rodeo events.
Yeah. Yep, the main rodeo events, we represent
cool.
all the cowboys that go there and compete. So yeah, I was there a week before the NFR started. We're practicing in and out of the arena, and then the week of, or 10 days of the NFR, I was there in the arena, and I think that she calculated it, and the flag girls are in the arena and have their eyes on them more than any other person at the rodeo, which is so crazy to think about. But we go in after every single event. We go in at the beginning, the middle, and the end, and so the flag girls are always there, and we get to be immersed in the culture. Like, I'm warming up my horse next to world champions in the back tent, and it's just, we have to act like it's no big deal. Like, we're cool, calm, and collected, even though we're fangirling on the inside.
That is so cool. I am new to this space. I mean, I grew up going to rodeos for fun, and
yeah,
my dad's like, we're all wannabe cowboys and cowgirls in
I
my
love
family.
it. That's the best kind.
And we have like ropes and like a steer we practice on in our backyard. Anyways, we're such wannabes, but it's cool to like learn how in depth it all goes. And like now it's on my bucket list to go to the NFR rodeo. Like
let's go.
I think it'll be so cool. I love seeing you talk about it. I see how excited you get. What are the main rodeo events?
Yeah, the main rodeo events. So there's rough stock and timed events. So the timed events are calf roping, steer wrestling, and team roping.
Okay.
Rough stock events are bareback riding, saddle bronc riding, and bull riding. And then most commonly seen at rodeos is barrel racing with the women. Sometimes we'll go to a rodeo and there will be breakaway roping at pro rodeos. But
do men ever barrel race?
they don't at pro rodeos usually, but they will at like jackpots and maybe even like RMs. But mostly they don't really at pro rodeos, but outside of it they do. So those are the events of rodeo.
And so now post your queendom,
yeah,
you're getting into barrel racing and competing in barrel racing, right?
Yes. Yeah, I competed in barrel racing in high school. And then when I moved to college, I was like, okay, I gotta let it all go. I moved to St. George, and so I was 4 hours away from home, and I just couldn't have horses there.
Did you miss your horse?
Oh, yeah. Every day. I have friends that live down there, and they would let me come and ride. And I was like, thank you. You're saving me. And then I'd go to the NFR right after finals were done in the winter semester. And so I get my fix there. But yeah, it was super sad. And then I competed for Miss Rodeo Utah, so I had reining horses. And then now I'm like, what am I going to do with my time? So I ended up buying a barrel horse, and I'll compete at the RMPRA amateur rodeos this summer just to see how it goes. I've been jackpotting on her, and we've been figuring it out. So we might be a little rocky, knocking the dust off. But
from that one video you already showed me, it looks like you're a pro. I'm like, oh, God, that is so cool. I just want to go fast on a horse. That is my goal. One day, ride fast on a horse.
We're just going to have Redmond Day, and we're just going to ride horses.
Teach me how to ride.
I would love to.
So you mentioned, I know we're coming closer to the end of our time, but I wanted to touch on something you put in the form. You light up about family and relationships and communication. So kind of looping all those three. Just from my short time knowing you, I've I've noticed just like your relationship with your family, even not meeting them, but just how you talk about them, your relationship with your mom. Mm-hmm. I can tell it's very close, tight-knit. What do you feel helps you guys be that way?
It's crazy. I think there's lots of different aspects, but I think like the way we grew up, it's crazy because not only is my mom, dad, brothers, we're all super close, but I'm close with my grandmas and grandpas on both sides. In Midway, we literally live on 100 South, like right off of Midway Main Street, and all my family lives on this little lane. So across from me is my grandma and grandpa, then across from him is his brother, and then my cousins and aunts and uncles. And so we literally all live on this one little lane. And so every day we would wake up, and when it was summertime, we'd go over to our cousin's house and knock on the door and be like, can Mason come play? And so we would all go outside and play, like me and my siblings and her siblings and everyone, and we would just run wild. We would like go out and play with horses, and we would create like little campsites, and we would just be kids in the summertime. And so I think that made me and my brother super close because we were always outside doing something. And then it made us close with our cousins because we were always with them.
Love that.
And then our mom and dad just always supported us, and whatever we wanted to do, they wanted to make our dreams happen. And so they worked really hard to give us that. And I think like at the end of the day, every day we would go in for family dinner, and we would run crazy, and we would ride horses, and we would do all the things, but that's how we ended our day. Every single day we would get together for family dinner. And just knowing that like everything we do as a family, and they've always got us. And I think it also attributed to many car rides on the weekends to random rodeos across the state. Like
supporting your dad.
Yeah, supporting my dad. And then now he supports us. Like I high school rodeo, my brother high school rodeo, my little brother is a sophomore. And so we supported my dad, and we were just always like, we were always together. So you either like it or you don't like it. We chose to like it and figure it out.
I like that mentality, like when you're stuck with your family, like there are hard times, and I'm sure disagreements with your siblings or parents, but just choosing to remember it's like you're meant to be together and you can find the joy together.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Exactly. That's kind of how we were raised.
Good thoughts. So to end, I don't know if you have a quote off the top of your head that you live by or that has resonated with you recently. And if not, then what is something you don't think many people know about you?
It's crazy. I had a quote pop into my head. With God, anything is possible. I think that's like something that I have to remember. Like, I tried out for Miss Rodeo America, and that was my dream to like be Miss Rodeo America, and it didn't happen. And I just remember being like, what in the world? Like, I worked so hard, and I thought that this was supposed to be the thing, and that was me achieving the impossible. And then once I got done and I took a step back, I realized that like God had a hand in every single aspect of what I did. And he like literally led me to where I was supposed to be. And after I didn't win America, I found a job here at Redmond. And now I do everything that fills up my cup. I work with equine and agriculture and hunting, and I help with their marketing and social media. And so, yes, things did not happen. I did not win Miss Rodeo America, but God blessed me with something bigger. And so I just have to remember that even if life takes a turn with God, anything is possible.
I love that. I'm going to double question you and ask you about something many people don't know about you. Because it's just kind of fun to
many people don't know.
See who McKardy Kelly is.
It's so funny. I'm colorblind, so girls.
Really?
Yeah. I didn't even know that. I was like, many people, including you.
You joked about it, but I didn't know it was real.
Yes. No, it's so real. Like, less than 1% chance that a girl can be colorblind. Yeah. My mom was like, there's no way. My preschool teacher was like, there's no way. And then my preschool teacher was like, wait. Like,
no way.
There's no way. She has to read the color of the crayon before she colors with it because she can't figure out what color it is.
Okay, there's a way to do it.
Yeah, there's a way to do it.
It's so cute. There is.
So literally, I'll be making posts and I'm like, do these colors look good together? It's because I don't know.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. So, the whole social team. That's why I can't tell my colors.
That is crazy. Well, you are unique, but not just because of that, but just because of your life story, who you are, what you do, and what you represent. Even though you're not with that title anymore, I can still see it in your eyes, and it's cool that you could share that passion with us today.
Thank you.
And I can't wait to learn how to ride horses from you.
Riding lessons coming soon.
Anyways, everybody, thank you so much for listening. We'll tune in next week. See you later.
That was so fun.